good day and welcome to the program yet again. It's myself, Grantley, and I welcome you to the Str8up program. On today's program, my guest, I am so excited to say, is somebody that I've spoken to a couple of times before. She is such a very intelligent and accomplished vocalist. She started singing in a local church when she was only 9 years old. Can you believe that? 9 years old. And is a founding soloist of the choir that most people would know the initials of. LCGC, which stands for London Community Gospel Choir. She's one of the founding members. She then went on to be a solo artist and has spent something like 25, almost 30 years in the music industry. She's recorded TV adverts. She's recorded with some of the biggest names in the pop world. People like George Michael, Stevie Wonder. There is just so many. The list is long. Stormzy, Leona, Lewis. If I was to go on about the list, it would be a very, very long list. But today, I want you to welcome with me my guest on today's program, the one, the only, Patricia Knight Scott. Hello, Patricia.
Hi, hon.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm here at last.
You're in the cottage today, I can see.
Yeah.
This is what it's like when you rise to the dizzy heights. You can sort of pick your location, can't you?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, I am excited to be talking to you. It's not often that we get to speak to, shall we say, UK gospel royalty.
Oh, please.
But, you know, you've done so much over the years, Patricia, and I'm so proud of you because you're one of us, you know. I'm not sure if you're a South Londoner. That's the only thing now. I think
No, I'm not.
You're originally North East,
But does it matter? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but
I'm
you're a Londoner. You're a Londoner.
Yeah, I'm a Tottenham girl.
Good on you. I lived in Tottenham for a little while, so I'm kind of familiar with the area. But 20-something years, almost 30 years, and you're still looking this good, and you're a mum, and you're a wife.
Lord knows.
He certainly does. So take us back, because you've got this new single out, okay, which is it's a remix of a track that you've recorded already, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But for those that are watching the program and have probably come across you for the first time, let's talk about this lady called Patricia Knight Scott. First of all, 9 years old when you started singing. Your mum was very driven and focused. She knew what she was doing. Can you remember back in those days what happened? And you know, did they put you on a car? Did they put you on a box, or how did it go down?
No, do you know what? My mum became a Christian, started going to a Pentecostal church.
Right.
And there was this junior choir there.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I came into this church, and black churches in those days, it was like, it wasn't an orchestra. You didn't have a big band. You had like percussion instruments. You had your tambourine, you had your djembe, you had your bongo drums.
Yeah.
And those were like the main instruments, but they could knock it up and knock a rhythm.
Yeah.
And I remember going in at 8, 9 years old and seeing these youngsters singing and making such an incredible sound. And I just thought, wow, I want some of that. I want to be in that choir. Do you know what I mean? And my mum, she got me to sing with her because she was doing like a little exhortation.
Yeah.
And she got me to sing with her. She says, you sing good. You're always singing in the house. Sing a harmony with me. So we got up, you know, Mum introduced herself, did her song, and I harmonised with her, and that was it. They swooped me up immediately because I thought, well, obviously she's got an ear for singing. So
and the voice. And the voice.
I suppose, and the voice. I don't know what voice I had back then. But and so I joined, and very swiftly, I must have had a voice, because very swiftly I became a lead singer.
Wow.
In the junior choir, and then it just took off from there, really.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So those were the early days, and still not even a teenager yet, and getting to the stage where they're putting you in a lead position as well. Absolutely brilliant. So can you remember the stages? What took you to the point of where you joined London Community Gospel Choir? Because
Yeah,
you're
because
one of the founders, right?
yeah, so God, there's such a lot of stuff happened, but basically the junior choir, we were kind of like really well sought after. We were really kicking up a storm, and we just used to do lots of arrangements. Lawrence was conducting. Lawrence was
Lawrence
Lawrence
Johnson.
Johnson.
Lawrence Johnson.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was conducting
The
the
man
junior
himself.
choir,
Yeah.
and quite a few of us were, there were a few lead singers as well as me. Um, and then as we were getting older, like
Yeah.
coming up through our teens, like
Yeah.
coming around 13, 14,
Yeah.
the senior choir wanted us, and they basically said, you all are too old now to be in a junior choir. You've
Yeah.
got to come over to us. And we were like, no, we don't want to come over to you. We want to stay here, because we were like, everybody wanted us.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted a piece of us. But I don't know how it happened, but it was all agreed by Basil. We've got to come up into his choir,
Yeah.
and yeah, we
So
came part of the senior choir.
Basil Mead looked after the senior choir, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's your introduction. That's your introduction to Basil Mead, and at that time,
not
the choir
introduction
was
to Basil Mead. He was like youth leader. He was
part of the church. He was part of the church, right?
yeah.
Okay, so there was no intro. You already knew Basil. That was it. You
Yeah,
came up
he used to
together.
play for me.
Excellent. So, when did it go from being church to this London Community Gospel Choir? How did that all happen?
Yeah, so the senior choir then kind of like took off, and we were doing stuff, and so obviously people used to come from wide and far to listen to the choir, because
Yeah.
obviously Basil was always forward thinking, always, and Lawrence as well, and all the other young people around that time. There were a few musicians and singers and stuff like that, that kind of like made the senior choir what they were and the sound that they had. But Basil always had this dream of taking our sound and sharing it to the outside world. So he always had that dream,
Yeah.
and so he decided to obviously pursue that. And you really have to ask him the rest of the story.
Which I will.
It
Which I will.
happened. It happened
Which I will.
basically,
I definitely
and
will. So
London Community Gospel Choir came
yeah.
about.
So this wonderful choir came about, and it's kind of like it is what it says on the tin. It's a community choir. So not
Yes.
only the people in your church, but the community got involved as
Yeah.
well.
And I'd like
But
to actually say that we were probably one of the first community choirs of our time.
yeah,
I would like to claim that, but I don't want.
setting the trend, setting the trend for others to follow. Excellent. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. You went from being a community choir, right, to a full-on UK recognised gospel group under the guise of New Colours.
Right. But remember,
Lawrence John,
before New Colours, it
yeah,
was Colours of LCGC.
Colours of LCGC,
Yeah, that's what came first, and then
right,
because we were going to be picked up by a record company, they're obviously not going to take on a whole choir. They wanted a group,
right,
so it had to be narrowed down.
right. So tell us if you can, tell us what, obviously, because like I guess, and the record label that we're talking about is Polydor, right?
Yeah.
Polydor Records, which
Is it Polydor? I
also
think it's Polygram.
Polygram,
Yeah.
Polygram, Polygram. But Polygram also had some big names on the label at the time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you remember any of the people that were signed to
D-
Polygram?
da, 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 da.
If
No,
I'm
you
not,
tell me. Have you researched it?
if I'm not mistaken, because we are going back a bit now, because Polygram is no longer around anymore. But I'm sure James Brown had a stint on Polygram.
Yeah.
All right, and you can't get much famous than the king of soul, James Brown. But so they didn't want to take a full-on choir. So what were the numbers? How many people that were in the group that they wanted?
Right. So I think there was about maybe roughly 12 of us in colours of LCGC.
Right.
And then they took on 5 of us out of that group.
And you can name all 5 people.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So me, Lawrence, Carol Riley,
yes.
Lane Gray, and oh my God!
And they're not going to forgive you.
Oh.
It will come to you.
Oh
it will
God.
come to you.
Why is that?
When it does come to you, I just want... Faye Simpson.
Faye Simpson.
I should have known that.
Great.
You got there in the end, though, didn't you? Faye Simpson. The one Faye Simpson. And Faye, if you're listening...
One and only. Mwah.
Love you, Faye. She's such a sweetheart, isn't she?
Oh, my gosh, she's beautiful.
Oh, my God, that girl, she's such a sweetheart, honestly. So,
she's
the 5 of you, yeah? The 5 of you.
Yeah.
You get signed. What album do you bring out first? Can you remember?
Oh, God. Now you're going back. Why didn't you tell me to get all this stuff together?
This is what makes it beautiful and organic. Can you remember any of the tracks? One of the tracks.
So there was Power. There was Power within me. Power. And then there was what's the one that Lane did? Da, 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 da. You should have told me, because I would have gone and got my stuff.
I know you would have, but it wouldn't have made it as interesting as it is right now.
And what's the other one? I remember Power. What that one?
Power was one of the tracks that was like the leading singles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good enough. But because I mean, and can you remember how did you guys actually get signed?
Man Within. I'm trying to. I'm googling now.
I know you are.
What in the world?
What in the world?
Greater Love.
Greater Love was the track, wasn't it?
That was a track.
Greater Love.
Because Greater Love, I've heard a few remixes of that.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Are you guys getting any spondoolies off that?
Well, no. Do you know what? I was thinking to myself, I can't remember who wrote that because
it was a while ago.
I certainly wasn't a part of the writing of that track. Okay. So I wouldn't be getting spondoolies.
Okay.
But
talking about spondoolies, let's switch gear a little bit.
Yeah.
You've worked with Stevie Wonder. You've worked with George Michael.
Yeah.
You've worked with Luther Vandross. Not
Luther Vandross, Stormzy. Who else? Oh gosh, there's just so many.
Leona Lewis.
Cliff Richards. Tom Jones.
How did this all happen? Did they just hear about you?
See, Basil was the person that pulled all these people in.
He was.
He was the one that, because he had the agency at the time.
Yeah.
He was the one that got all of it, and so basically, I was in part of the A-team, so I just got stuff from a young teenager.
Wow, that's amazing. And
young when I started.
Obviously, it was a very good time. Very good time because you know, whenever there was any programs that required a choir of any sort, you guys would be first choice, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So X Factor, any
yeah.
of those types of
Any of
programs. I
those
mean,
types of
the
programs.
amount of times I've seen you guys on TV
Yeah, doing
in, you know,
backing
whether
vocals
it's
for people.
A, the B, or the C group,
Yeah,
but you'd be like the go-to.
yeah,
And back in the days, you mentioned Basil did have an agency, so you were
yeah.
open for business, so to speak.
Mm.
So yeah, very good time. And you've mixed with the top of the top. I mean, you've even done, if my memory serves me right, you've even done Royal Command performances, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that must have been something.
Every year we used to do raw variety, and I've got a certificate from the Queen,
Wow,
like a thank you, thank you
that is a
certificate of the
big deal.
royal, being a
Yeah,
part of it and giving my services to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that if it was me, I'd probably frame it and put it up somewhere. You know, because it's not every day you get that
Really?
sort of document, you know, from the Queen.
Isn't it?
So, you
That's
know, it's one
true.
of them ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've decided, for whatever reason, that you're gonna go solo after
Yeah.
so many years. You've had
After so many
children, and
years.
yeah, you've had
Now
children.
there's a story in that. There's
Go
a
on then.
story in that in terms of the song Glitters, because you know um, when I think about Glitters and its relatability to mental health and identity is a big thing, you know, because basically you've got to believe in yourself, haven't you?
Most definitely.
If you don't
It,
believe
it,
in
it,
yourself, no one else is.
no one is going to believe in you, you
There
know,
you
and
go.
it starts with
And
you.
yes, it starts with you. And I think that, when I was younger, as you do, you think, oh no, I'm not good enough. Oh no, 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 no. And even though people are telling you that you are, when are you going to do your album? When are you going to do this? When are you going to do that? You're thinking, so, well, I'm not as good as so and so why
Yeah,
should I do? Do you know what I mean?
yeah, I do,
And
I
then when you
do,
grow
and
up,
it's
you realize that, your identity is in Christ. Christ made you, He made you unique. And when you start to realize the gifting that He's given you, that the devil was trying to tell you is not very good, you know,
yeah,
when you start to realize that, no, you are yourself, you are unique, God has created you in a certain way, and only you have your voice, and you need to share it. What God has deposited in you, you need to share it. So once my kids grew up and stuff like that, because I have to admit I did stop when I had my two children, and I just poured into them, and I kind of like went off of music a little bit, and yeah, so I was mum, and I loved it. No, I really, really loved it. I loved motherhood. And so I poured into them. But now they're grown, I just think, you know what? It's never too late. When God has, because I was just starting to write, journal. And I just thought, no, I need to share this. I need to share this. So, that's how that came about.
so you brought out an EP a few months ago.
Mm,
Some really nice tracks. I've got to say.
mm.
You're hooked up with Lawrence's younger brother, Marcus.
Marcus.
Marcus Johnson, one of my
Yeah,
favourite,
my little
all
brother.
time favourite producers.
Yeah,
And you knocked out this EP that is pretty stunning, actually. I love it.
yeah. But
Um,
you got to remember the EP. The EP is Nikki Brown.
okay, so Nikki came with the production for the original EP, right? Nikki Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. Lawrence came in and started twiddling buttons as well. Do you like the way I phrased that? And so now, I mean, whose decision was it to do the Mary Mary cover of Glitters?
So myself and Nikki. myself and Nikki, because I was doing some gigs, and every time I would use the Mary Mary track as my go-to,
Yeah.
as one of the songs that I would actually sing. So I said to him, because Nikki was saying you should do a cover first, and then we'll introduce your songs, but do a cover first. This is what we were discussing way back. I mean, this is at least 5 years back. Yeah.
Amazing.
And so I said, yeah, why not? So I said, well, I always sing "Love You That Much," when I do gigs. That's my go-to song. Yeah. So why not start with that?
And "Love You That Much" is one of the standout singles off the EP. "Love You That Much" is a very lovely song. I mean,
then we mingled it with "Love You Forever," Thai tribute.
Let's rename him, shall we? Thai tribute.
You know what I mean? And so we kind of like mixed it up together. And the thing is, it was really organic the way it happened. We just went with the vibe. We were in the studio. I started singing that, and then he says, let's see how we can mix it together. And he was just vibing. I was just let me go with it. And I just started singing, and whatever ideas came.
Did you have to get any permission from the girls, Mary, to cover?
Well, permission as in all of the what do you call it? The way you go about it professionally.
Yes. You do have to inform them.
Yeah. So it's their song, and it's Thai tribute song.
Right.
It's just a cover. It's a cover. Whatever you do when you do covers is what happened. But I think back then I didn't take care of the business.
It was someone else.
I left it to Nikki.
You left it to the guys, the pen pushers.
Yeah, I know. I leave it to the people that can do it, not producers.
Exactly. They're used to kicking tires.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you've ended up with this remix called Glitters, the Glitters remix that Marcus twiddled his knobs on again. And I'm telling you what, he's done a really good job, Patricia.
He has, hasn't he?
He's done a stunning job. Now the video, I've watched it probably about 5-6 times already. I love the video. Yeah, I love it. And you must tell me. So for those who don't know, right? For those who haven't seen the video starts off with you like sort of coming out of the house, and you scroll down the road. You're getting ready to jump into your friend's 4x4, right? Who is she? Is it? First of all, hold on, stop laughing. Who is she? Right? And there's two young girls that dance in the video as well. Who are they? Are they all strangers?
Listen, I'm not supposed to give all of that away.
Yes, you got to give us a scoop.
Because otherwise, listen. Right. Anyway, okay then. It's my sister-in-law.
Lovely. She's beautiful.
It's supposed to be a friend. It's not, so my friend comes to pick me up to go to my launch party. And basically the reference to the bracelet is the reference to how the song came about. If anybody knows the story about how the song came about, when they see the bracelet, they'll understand, oh, okay, she's got the bracelet in there.
Okay.
So basically, how the song came out, how the actual lyrics, the chorus came about, is I was on stage with my worship team at the time, and one of the girls, I had this Diamante bracelet on.
Right.
Okay. And she commented, she goes, ooh. She goes, that's nice. You want to give me a wear of that? And I turned around and I said to her, not all that glitters is gold. Knowing that same bracelet always snags my clothes and tears my clothes. So I never used to wear the bracelet. As beautiful as it was, it hardly came out of its box.
Because it did
So,
damage when it did.
because every time it came out, it would damage my clothes. So I said to her, not all that glitters is gold.
Yeah.
And she turned around to me and she said, you need to write that message, girl. So I said to her, I'm no preacher. So she said, she turned around and she looked at me in my eye and she said, you need to write that message.
One of
Because
them ones, one of them looks.
it's one of those looks, one of those seer looks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Because she could see that it needed to be, you know,
It had to be
come
portrayed. It had to
forward.
be told.
Yeah.
Had to be told. And we're so glad that you decided to do that, because
Yeah.
I think you're onto a bit of a winner there.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So, you know, the song lends a touch to mental health issues. Now, everybody can relate to mental health issues. Back in the day, it wasn't called mental health issues, but whatever it was taboo. No one talked about knowing somebody that went to Maudsley Hospital or no one ever talked about that sort of thing. But you know, I guess back in the day, and it still is, we would use the term depressed. Feeling a little depressed, a little under the weather.
Yeah.
But now it's just full on, you know, mental issues or disorders and things of that nature, which a lot of people can relate to, and it's being encouraged to talk about, right? And so, if anything at all, the song lends an ear to that area of life, which is a good thing in itself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It certainly is.
Because basically the song talks about you know, not all that glitters is gold. You know, stop looking at somebody else. Don't compare yourself to others. So that's kind of like the main theme. You know, don't compare yourself to others, because there is a danger in doing that. You know, because basically, I got a little quote from Oscar Wilde. He says, "Be yourself, because everyone else is taken." And that's the danger. You see, is, you know, when we, you know, because everybody knows the saying, not all that glitters is gold, you know, but, you know, if you look deeper into it, and in the song, it says, dare to hope and dare to dream. So find your own dreams, you know, you're unique, you know, and you can do it for yourself. The rapper, he goes on to say, you know, not all that glitters is gold. Everybody is unique. There's no need for comparing. Don't try to fit in. Be you from your style and appearance. You know. So all of those things there. It just talks about, you know, people just being themselves. You know, and
so
yeah.
You talked about dreams and goals. What are your aspirations? You've got this EP and the single a remix of Glitters. What's next for Patricia Knight Scott, would you say?
You know, what's next is continuing to just continue to write, because I've got other songs, and I'm dying to get them out. However, you know, different producers are busy. People are busy, so you can't always go to your timing, because I would have liked to have got some of those songs out last year, but you know, there's a process, and I've got to kind of like just go with the process.
I understand.
And then get them out.
Yeah.
Get them out organically.
If only, right, Patricia. If only it was about your schedule. If everyone worked to your schedule, the album would have been out already.
Hello.
You know, 5 or 6 videos would have been out already. Yeah. But yeah, it doesn't quite work that way, does it? No. You have to sort of like, you know, take your turn, wait for the producer to become available, etc., etc. So you've been writing, right? You've been writing.
Yeah.
A song a day.
What's that? Say that again.
A song a day.
Not a song a day, but I have lots and lots of ideas.
Yeah.
But you know, they're not full songs.
I gotcha.
They're not full songs, but I have 2 full songs that are I wouldn't say ready to go, but they're complete,
Okay.
and they just need that
A
finesse.
little bit of finessing,
Yeah,
little bit of texture added.
yeah. They need the producers to take it and make it.
Yeah, a little bit special.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's it.
All right, so
Add the spice.
this is yeah, add a little bit of spice. So this is what we've got to look forward to. I'm so pleased that you've taken the time out of your schedule to have a little chat with us, a little chinwag. I really do
Yeah.
appreciate it. Tell people how they can get hold of your material.
Okay, so it's going to be really easy, guys. To support me, you just need to put in Patricia Knight Scott, because all of my handles I've made them all under the one name. So if you put in Patricia Knight Scott in YouTube, you'll find my YouTube artist page. If you put it into Spotify, the same thing. My Spotify page will come up.
Okay.
So Instagram,
You made it
Facebook,
so easy.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Do a search for Patricia Knight Scott on your favourite social network, and you will definitely come across her. The EP is fantastic. Destiny, Patricia Knight Scott. I've
Yeah.
had mine for quite a few months now, and I am trying to wear it out. I think. I think I'm trying to wear it out. But yeah, I love it so much, and the new EP is available to stream, download.
The
It's
new
called Glitters.
single, not
The new
EP.
single. The new single.
Single.
Glitters. The
And it's
remix.
remix, a
Yeah.
remix.
And yeah, I just wish you continued success.
Mm.
Who are you currently working with at the moment? Because you're a vocal coach. Anyone that we know, or you're just
Nah,
out there
not
doing it?
not anyone you know. No, but I love my students. They bring me so much.
Yeah.
You
It,
know.
it must be a joy to work with people and see the growth
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
just every lesson, every class. You see, something that they've done a little bit
People
special.
from all different walks of life, and also they bring me lots of different types of songs from different genres.
Oh wow.
That's what I love, because sometimes they bring me stuff that I've never heard,
Yeah.
because I don't listen to that genre, and I'm usually I'm like, oh, you know, yeah. So
Thank you so
it's
much
great.
once again. Like I said before, wish you every continual success. Ladies and gentlemen, Patricia Knight Scott. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So there you go. That's the end of another fantastic straight up show with myself, Grantley. Thank you to Patricia. Remember, stay tuned to this channel, and do like, share, subscribe if you can, and I'll catch up with you again